Hey guys, it's J Sharp Tutorials, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a video, this time all the way through, of my Infiltration shadow. And if you guys haven't seen my last one about talking about 5.0 changes, I addressed most of my thoughts about 5.0, most of them good. Still not a big fan of the gearing. I'll show my utilities and gearing at the end, but not a lot has changed. Utilities I'm not sold on, but I think I've basically formulated most of what I'm going to do. I'm still going back and forth about 1 or 2 points on my rotation, so once I get those last couple things figured out, I'll see if I can post a guide. So now that we don't have to increase our stealth level manually, it's just high up in general. I was able to sneak to the back line, put some pressure on the SWTOR healer. I wasn't sure he was a healer, but I knew he wanted to stay in the back line. That's a pretty safe bet. Once he started doing innervate as he went over, I did some DPS, got in some close range, and then quickly marked him as a healer. I need to set my key bindings to marking to make that a little bit easier, but I haven't done that on this character yet. So at this point we can figure out that they have multiple healers, so I try to switch off on this Merc. Then I see somebody took my marker off one healer and put on another healer, which isn't good, but if he wants to focus that person, it's very good for you to combine your efforts. And as you see, we have 3 people on him, but we're still not able to take him down too much. They have a good combination of at least 2 healers, maybe 3. So just kind of did some AoE damage just to kind of pick out my next target. Got pushed away. My deflection was timed a little bit too early. As the focus started coming on the people that were attacking the healer, I popped my deflection early. But we have to remember that now it's one of our best defensives, especially if you take it in your discipline to be even better. And so I probably should have left it a little bit later. So just doing some damage right here. They have the advantage because they have more healers than we do. I'm not even sure we have one. And so I wanted to stay alive, stealthed out. As you can see, my little I'm getting healing over time, which I took on my utilities. And I saw the one other guy go over and look toward this node like he wanted us to take it. And so I kind of went off and got the healing thing, looking around. And I can see that there's only one guard here. And what he's doing is he's spamming AoE. Because he's spamming AoE, we probably know that we can't stealth cap. And so what I'll do is I wait until he's done channeling his AoE and then attack him, because at that point he'll be at the lowest energy. But as it turns out, all he's really focused on doing is calling in the chat, I think, because he's just standing there. I'm able to LOS him pretty well, but then he pops one of his main defenses, the one that basically returns all of our damage. I waited out and then go right back to him. He just wasted his biggest defensives and wasn't able to attack me because I ran on the other side of the node. I interrupted his blazing bolts right away because that's one of his strongest attacks, and then put a hard stun on him just so I could focus on doing some DPS. Right now he's channeling AoE for single target, which is really bad. Pops his shield a little bit late. I interrupted his heal and then finished him off, so then I was able to cap the node. Notice my positioning on the node, I was off to the side, probably not perfect, but to the point of where if someone tried to jump up to me, it would be a little bit hard. Now, since one person went over, I went back into stealth, because you always want to start in stealth whenever you start an engagement, and then just kind of bided my time, waited until he was on the node, or at least around it, and then started attacking him. Notice how I didn't try to meet him in the middle area between nodes, and that's because if they wanted, they could send someone around and stealth cap the node while we were focused on attacking the healer. So because we were able to focus the fight on the node, we drew the fight to the node, and then that way, when the Merc comes again to try to help out his healer, he was forced to fight in a more advantageous position to us. Now, this healer is pretty good, and maybe it's my gear, or maybe it's just because the other DPS isn't doing too much, but we're not really making as much focus on him as we would like. They're putting a lot of pressure on him, both on damage from the Merc and the damage on the healer, and so I try to throw out his taunts as best as I could, try to lift the other mercenary so I could focus on the healer, but then he broke the lift and was able to finish our attacker off. Now, I wanted to keep doing DPS, and I'm doing a decent job doing DPS, but I'm never going to win a 2-on-1 against a healer. That's just not going to happen, so I just try to delay as much as I can. When I get knocked away, I use that time while I'm knocked to call out 2 in the snow, and then I continue doing DPS for as long as I could. I popped one of my biggest defenses, which is resilience, just so I could evade some of the attacks, and then stealthed out as soon as I was done. He got really lucky and popped me out of stealth, which was really good by him, so I had to kind of kite around and wait a little bit, and then stop the person from attacking. As you can tell, I really haven't gotten any heals the entire game, so all of the healing, all of the jumps back in my health have been all my cooldowns of my battle readiness, and also my consumable med pack. Now, unfortunately, I got taken out right there, but the damage was already done. Because we were able to hold grass, they had a good guard on grass, and because my team was able to keep up pressure in mid, they were not able to cap either of those two nodes. Then when I was able to stealth cap or one-on-one cap or whatever you want to call it, we were able to have basically a couple hundred plus point lead while we were doing damage. So that's really good. I was debating of whether I should go into stealth and then try to jump to him, but I got pushed back, so I wanted to make sure that I could throw out a low slash interrupt the cap. Again, at this point, all we have is a really big lead right now, so if we want it, we could just gridlock this mid for the rest of the game, and because we both have one side node, we could win. But as it turns out, since they have more healers than we do, that's going to be a little bit harder than we thought. So again, just putting more pressure on the back line. They have so many people that I can pressure, squishy DPS, healers, that really the problem we need to do right now is just focus down one. I'm putting some decent pressure. As you can see, I'm getting consistently 16-17k hits, and that's partially due to the healing. I pushed back two people there. They were just kind of free casting on the side, just to get them in a worse position. I'm just putting more pressure on the healer, but she's just so in the middle of things. I'm not really getting any kills. I'm just putting pressure on so that it's a little bit harder to get off heals. Did a little resilience right there and popped a couple of my heals. Now remember, when you pop your battle readiness, the healing doesn't just stop when you cast it. You can actually get additional healing for every melee attack you can get. As you can see, I was doing some melee attacks, but not as many as I probably should have. So I see this one guy capping, so I make sure to separate him. I have a guard on me right now, which is really helpful for me staying alive. As you can see, it's about a 6-on-2-ish. And so then I'm just, again, sticking with the same target. The other juggernauts just putting more pressure until our team can help us and come back. When you go through your rotation, a lot of people have will probably be wondering where the new ability goes, and just I will address it more in the guide later, but as far as I can tell, it basically takes the place of a second clairvoyant strike. Unless you lose your clairvoyant buff, you probably shouldn't be casting clairvoyant strike twice in a row. So instead of doing that, we have our new ability, but other than that, it's pretty much like a clairvoyant strike. In fact, I'm deciding right now whether or not it takes precedence over a shadow strike. I think it does, so we'll see later. As you can see, some good 20k hits. It's nice to see these new crits, even though everyone's numbers are a little bit inflated. People are clumped up, so I'm doing a little bit of AoE damage, and then focusing down that one target. As you can see, someone puts a stun on her, we get really close, and as soon as we get below that 30% health, then in our discipline, all of our attacks are buffed, and so we do a lot more damage. We're able to finish her off that way. Now, because there's only two people, I was a little surprised because there's been a bunch the entire game. So I checked quickly to see how grass was doing. They actually had 2 guards. Then I went and lifted the Merc because it's still good to do that. It's worth taking 2 seconds. But then I saw that the Merc just uses Sunbreaker, so I knew that I could use all of my stuns and put a lot of high pressure on the target. Now I popped one of my shields because not only does it do a really good job deflecting the melee abilities, I took in my utilities that it actually reflects some damage back. So I'm doing the best I can, and then I finally stealth out. Now again, as I talked about before, I'm getting healed periodically, and I was trying to heal up, but I saw 2 different people were capping. So instead of, I could try mezzing one, then going mezzing the other, but instead I just pushed them both back and LOS'd again. Now, it's debatable what I should have done. I thought that was the best thing I could do. I put 1 stun on, but they stun locked me. I used my time wall stun to call again. The mid was going bad, and by the time that people heard it, it was too late. Really, you should know about what nodes are bad, because just looking at the numbers, if there's a lot of people on one node, then you're probably good to stay there. But if you have 2 people guarding grass like we have now, where no one was there, that's just not a good call. And so I had a choice of whether to go mid or or go to snow. I decided against stealth capping because I still, as I said in the beginning, if we just hold this node, we'll win. And so even though it would be a long fight, we can still do it. And so I was putting some pressure down, just doing some force regain attacks while she had the defensive up that reflects all of my abilities, and then just putting some more pressure on. Again with the pushback and to stop the two people from capping, and unfortunately we just double stunned that one person. I caught my resilience so I could get in the middle of things and just delay for a couple more seconds, because remember, if you can just delay for 2 or 3 more seconds, that's another 20-30 points. So it's always a good thing to do that. So as you can tell, this fight hasn't exactly been one-sided, but because we have we don't have any healers and they have 2 healers, it's very tricky for us to actually do meaningful DPS and get kills instead of just damage that's healed away. Now again, we have a choice of which node to go to. I decided to go snow because we just recently lost a node, and when that usually happens, that means a lot of people are committed. And so I popped out of stealth just to get there a little bit faster, checked my shoulder to see who was coming. I knew that they had people on a node, but I wanted to stop this mercenary before he could get in. I jumped in stealth really quick just because everything has helped when we come out of the fight in stealth. Did all of my attacks really and bursted them down. Again, once we get them below that 30% or whatever it is, we can start finishing people off. Now look at my teammates right now. This is what I sometimes do, and just putting both of those stuns right on top of each other single-handedly won us a node. So not only did I go for the node really quick, but the real heroes there, they got us that, were the 2 people that stunned it. They did a really good job doing that, and because of that, we were able to get that second node and then turn the tide of the fight again. So again, I was just doing some attacks on this healer. He has not a lot of support, so we're able to do a lot more damage, but the real trick is, can we do a significant amount of damage before the rest of the team pulls up? And we were able to finish her off just as the other healer came to help. So then I just switched targets on the other healer. Again, looking at the numbers of things, it's a pretty safe bet that since this is like a 3-on-1 or even a 5-on-1, that the other nodes probably need help. Not everyone's calling, so I don't know for sure, but I checked their spawn. The people in spawn were heading out the other way, and that basically assured me that grass was the place to go instead of snow. So just make sure that in the middle of the fight you're looking around and seeing where the people are, because even just a quick head check to see where if people are going for the other node is the difference between a lost node and one node, if you can help before they even know they need helping. So I went in stealth and wanted to start a fight outside the node just because I knew this mercenary was pretty weak. I was able to do a lot of damage before, and as you can tell, I'm making significant progress. But again, you want to be checking your shoulder. Even though I was almost winning this fight entirely, I looked up in the node and saw that we had a 3-on-1 at the node. And so first I called in the chat when I was stunned, then went in there and try to throw on a taunt. And so while I did my taunt, that helped my Juggernaut stay alive. And so now with this 4-on-2, it's a little bit more of the even fight. I die with a net on me, which was a good move by the enemy team because I couldn't stealth out and delay a little bit longer. But we already called out in chat that the node was going south or going bad, and there's not a lot more I could have done. So as you can tell from the scoreboard, we're doing very well. At this rate, we might even have the game as long as we hold that one node, but I decided to put a little bit more pressure. I saw that there's a lot of people leaving grass, and the one person guarding was a mercenary who we do very well against, as you saw. And so I just kind of LOS'd him a little bit and decided to try for the stealth cap. Unfortunately, while I was trying to line up the stealth cap, someone else attacked, and so I went for the node anyways, just because that guy was obviously not looking, but they had a second guy waiting in stealth to put pressure on. Now, I don't see this guy channel a single ability, which means that he's probably another healer, so that means they probably have 3 healers the entire game, which is a tricky thing to run against. We did very well just by doing a lot of DPS. Their DPS wasn't as good, but when the enemy team has a lot of healers, you want to make sure you can hold nodes. If they have a lot of healers, they just probably won't die, so whoever has control of the node will basically hold it for the long fight because they can't kill anyone. As our reinforcements channel in, following my lead, we're able to get a lot more people there. And so again, just doing some AoE until I pick out a good target, and then going forward on single target DPS. Once we get them below that little threshold, again our attacks do a lot more, so I'm able to do a spinning strike and my other attacks to finish them off. Again, we're unfortunately we aren't capping right now because again, when there's a lot of healers, whoever has the node usually just holds it. But we are distracting them significantly and not letting them go snow. Again, all we need to do is really hold this one node and we win. We did all of the grunt work in the beginning of the match to put us in a good position, so all we really need to do is put a lot of pressure on them and don't let them counterattack us. So once I saw that there was a one-on-one right here, I decided to jump in, and I might have not supposed to have done that because one-on-ones are sometimes sacred, but I wanted our Marauder to be focused on the node because combat Marauders do very good AoE damage, and so I just wanted to break up that fight really quickly and then hopefully crush the advantage on the low guy. Unfortunately, that low Marauder had at least 2 healers on him at this point, so I wasn't able to do a lot of damage. A quick stealth out just to check around. At this point, it was obvious that we'd won the game, so I just wanted to stay alive for a little bit and hopefully get a little bit of extra burst at the end. So as I kited around, I was going to stealth cap, but I decided I just wanted to get some damage really quick, so I picked out a target and started up my attack again. 3 of my breaching shadows right in a row did some extra damage, and look at the scoreboard. I had almost 3.5k damage a second, which is really good. I had a lot of damage, but instead of just looking at damage, look at your damage versus the rest of the game. I had significantly more damage, and so that was proof that I was doing my rotation pretty well. As you can see, I have protection because I was using my taunts. You want to make sure you're using that. Again, this is just a quick look at my utilities. Nothing is set in stone. I'm not sold on all of them, but there are some pretty big changes from what I had in 4.0, so I'll make a guide once I'm sure of them. Stats-wise, hasn't really changed too much. I have high crit because that's what I had with my old 65 gear, and that is very strong right now in 5.0. You want to be leaning more toward crit than anything else at the moment. So hopefully this video has helped you guys. I'll see if I can get an Arsenal Merc video next, but at this point my Shadow is the only character that's max level. The other ones I have to do some more PvP games and story to increase their level. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.